Let's get started with our first major headline. And this one has fans buzzing. UFC heavyweight champion Jon Jones has found himself in the middle of a surprising and slightly comical moment overseas. While still recovering from injury and waiting to see what's next for his fighting career, Jones is currently in Russia, where he's taken on a new role as a coach for the Russian edition of The Ultimate Fighter. But what's really getting people talking isn't just his coaching skills. It's a lighthearted exchange that took an unexpected turn. A recently surfaced clip from the show shows Jones in a playful grappling moment with none other than Alfredo Alatorre, the president of ALF Reality, which produces the show. In the video, Alatorre, clearly in high spirits, attempts to take down Jon Jones in a friendly wrestling move. At first, it seems like the UFC legend might let it happen just for laughs. But then Jones flips the script. The champ smoothly defends the takedown attempt and pops back up to his feet effortlessly, reminding everyone exactly why he's considered one of the greatest mixed martial artists of all time. Fans were quick to react online. Some joked that Alatorre might have just learned the hard way what it's like to shoot for a takedown on a man who has defeated legends like Daniel Cormier and Cyril Gane. Others appreciated seeing a more relaxed, humorous side of Jones, especially after months of questions and controversies surrounding his return to the octagon. And speaking of his return, that's where the story gets more complicated. The long-discussed super fight between Jon Jones and rising heavyweight star Tom Aspenol remains one of the most anticipated matchups in MMA today. However, as of now, there's still no official confirmation on whether or not that fight will ever happen. With Jones recovering from a torn pectoral muscle and Aspenol having recently defended his interim title, fans are growing increasingly impatient. The UFC has yet to provide any solid updates, and both fighters have dropped only vague hints about what lies ahead. Jones, for his part, doesn't seem to be rushing anything. Despite the lingering injury and growing pressure from fans and media, he appears to be enjoying life in Russia, taking his coaching role seriously while also engaging in lighthearted moments like this one with Alatorre. It's a reminder that even champions need time to heal, and that life outside the cage can be just as entertaining. So while questions continue to swirl around the potential Jones versus Aspenol showdown, fans can at least enjoy moments like these. Whether it's defending takedowns from TV executives or mentoring the next generation of fighters, Jon Jones is still very much in the spotlight and loving every second of it. Moving on to our second big story of the day, a surprising but exciting training camp collaboration has just been revealed. Arman Tsarukyan, one of the UFC's top lightweight contenders, has announced that he's currently involved in Khamzat Chimaev's training camp ahead of Chimaev's highly anticipated title fight against Dricus du Plessis at DDP, scheduled for August. This unexpected partnership has sparked a wave of curiosity and excitement among MMA fans. While Tsarukyan and Chimaev compete in completely different weight classes, with Tsarukyan fighting at lightweight, 155 pounds, and Chimaev now preparing for a title shot in the middleweight division, 185 pounds. The two have found common ground in training. In a recent video shared by Red Corner MMA, Tsarukyan explained his role in Chimaev's camp and clarified what exactly he's doing to support the Chechen-born fighter ahead of the biggest fight of his career. According to Arman, his role isn't about going all out in hard sparring or pushing for intense grappling battles. Instead, he emphasized a smarter approach to training with a heavy focus on avoiding injury and offering tactical support. "It's important to avoid getting injured," Tsarukyan said in the interview. "I'm lighter than him, so we can roll a bit just to warm him up. Plus, it's just about being with the team and helping him however I can." This mindset reflects a growing trend among elite fighters, training smarter rather than harder, with Chimaev's health and peak condition being a top priority going into a championship bout. Surrounding himself with high-level yet thoughtful training partners like Tsarukyan makes perfect sense. Arman also mentioned that although he will be flying to the United States soon for his own obligations, he plans to return and rejoin Chimaev's training camp. "Whatever knowledge I have, I share with him, and he also shares his with me. That's how we train," he explained. This back-and-forth exchange of skills and knowledge between two top-tier fighters is valuable for both of them, especially as Tsarukyan continues to sharpen his game and build toward another shot at UFC gold. For Tsarukyan, this collaboration isn't just about helping a friend, it's an opportunity to evolve as a martial artist. Training alongside someone like Chimaev, known for his elite grappling and relentless pressure, gives Arman valuable exposure to different styles and strategies, especially as he seeks to climb back into lightweight title contention. As for Chimaev, the presence of a precise, technical, and cardio-heavy fighter like Tsarukyan in his camp can only improve his preparation, with Dricus du Plessis bringing unpredictable striking and heavy power power to the table, Chimaev needs a diverse team around him, and Arman Tsarukyan might be the perfect addition. With August inching closer, fans will be watching closely as both fighters continue to level up, and this training camp partnership might just give them the edge they need in their respective journeys. Let's move on to another exciting update in the MMA world, and this one might surprise you. Bantamweight champion Sean O'Malley has opened up about a rather unexpected training wish. He wants to train with Khabib Nurmagomedov and Islam Makhachev in Dagestan. Yes, you heard that right. The flashy, colorful, and unorthodox striker from Montana is seriously considering learning from some of the most disciplined and dominant grapplers in MMA history. In a recent interview with Daniel Cormier, who of course was a longtime teammate of both Khabib and Islam, O'Malley expressed deep admiration for the Dagestani camp and what they represent. He explained that even just a few training sessions with Team Khabib could take his game to a whole new level. You can learn so many tricks, little tips from just one session, O'Malley said. I mean, yeah, it'd be cool to be in the same room and train with them, be part of a session someday. Despite his enthusiasm, O'Malley was also realistic about the chances of this actually happening. For one, Umar Nurmagomedov, one of his most likely future opponents, trains with Khabib's camp. That in itself could make things a bit awkward. After all, sharing strategies and techniques with the team of a current rival might not be the smartest idea when title defenses are on the line. But it's not just the rivalry that stands in the way. The culture and strict traditions of Dagestani training camps are well known across the MMA community. Khabib's gym in particular is recognized for its firm expectations regarding discipline, behavior, and even appearance. O'Malley, with his brightly colored hair and expressive personality, might not exactly blend in. One infamous example that highlights this cultural clash: a Dagestani fighter was once reprimanded simply for having long hair. Another elite fighter, Shara Bullet, revealed he had to turn down training there because they asked him to cut his hair. That alone raises questions about whether O'Malley, with his iconic rainbow-colored hairstyles and laid-back showman energy, would even be accepted in the room, let alone on the mats. Still, the idea isn't as far-fetched as it might seem. Even UFC legend Jon Jones once trained in Dagestan, showing that elite fighters across the world recognize the unmatched value of their grappling and wrestling programs. O'Malley made it clear that he's not looking to permanently relocate or change who he is. "I'm not trying to go live there or anything, I just respect what they do. Khabib is a legend." While he admitted that he'll probably never do it, the respect he has for their system is genuine and runs deep. It's rare to hear a champion so candid about wanting to learn from a different style, especially one so different from his own. Whether or not it ever happens, one thing is clear: O'Malley is always looking for ways to grow, and he's not afraid to think outside the box to do it. Let's move on to the big money headline that's got the entire MMA world buzzing. According to Chael Sonnen, former UFC title contender and current analyst, Jon Jones has been offered a whopping $12 million to fight interim heavyweight champion Tom Aspenol. Yes, $12 million. Sonnen dropped this bombshell during a recent update on his YouTube channel, and if the numbers are accurate, this would mark one of the most lucrative fight offers in UFC history. Sonnen explained that the UFC didn't even blink when it came to agreeing to the number. There was reportedly no back and forth or haggling, just a straight up agreement to offer Jones the massive payday to finally make the Aspenol fight a reality. What makes this even more significant is that, if true, Jon Jones would become the highest paid fighter in UFC history, surpassing massive names like Brock Lesnar, Conor McGregor for base fight pay, and Ronda Rousey. While the UFC has remained silent on the exact numbers, KL's statements have sparked massive speculation online. Fans and analysts alike are trying to determine whether this is a legitimate leak or just classic Sonnen hype. But given Sonnen's past connections and history with inside information, there may be real weight behind this claim. Importantly, Sonnen also clarified that Jon Jones has not rejected the fight offer. This is a major detail, especially considering the months of confusion and tension between Jones, the UFC, and fans. The delay in the Jones versus Aspenol fight has led to widespread frustration, with many accusing Jones of ducking the bout or holding up the division. But if this report is true, all signs are pointing toward progress. Jon Jones himself has remained vague publicly. He's posted cryptic tweets, hinted at recovery from injury, and talked about his legacy. But he hasn't committed to the Aspenol fight. Still, with $12 million on the table, it's hard to imagine him turning it down. As Sonnen put it, this is is not just a legacy-defining fight, but a life-changing payday. It could be the perfect final chapter in one of the most storied careers in MMA history. And let's not forget what's at stake beyond the money. Tom Aspenol is widely considered one of the most dangerous heavyweights in the world right now. Fast, technical, and devastating on the feet. A win for Jones would silence doubters once and for all, proving he's still the greatest even after moving to a new division. For Aspenol, the bout represents a chance to dethrone a living legend and claim undisputed status. The potential of Jones versus Aspenol isn't just exciting, it's historic. And if Sonnen's scoop is legit, we might finally be seeing this dream fight get the green light, fueled by the biggest paycheck in UFC history. Stay tuned, because if this fight gets officially announced, it could go down as one of the most anticipated events the sport has ever seen. Now, Renato Moicano is stepping into the conversation with a strong opinion, and he believes the ongoing UFC TV rights negotiations are playing a major role in the delay of the highly anticipated fight between Jon Jones and Tom Aspenol. Moicano, never one to hold back his thoughts, shared his perspective during a recent interview with GM Cruz, and what he suggests sheds light on a much bigger picture behind the scenes. To understand Moicano's point, we have to rewind a bit. Before UFC 300, MMA journalist Ariel Helwani reported that Conor McGregor was eager to fight on the landmark card. According to Helwani, McGregor was pushing hard to make his return, but was surprisingly turned down by the UFC. At the time, McGregor was reportedly furious. He had only 2 fights left on his contract, and Helwani theorized that the UFC was intentionally sidelining him, preserving those final appearances to use as leverage during upcoming negotiations over the UFC's next big TV rights deal. Now, Moicano says he sees the same strategy unfolding with Jon Jones. He believes the UFC isn't just delaying the Jones versus Aspenol fight because of injuries or logistics. It's part of a calculated business move. In his words, it's just like McGregor and Chandler. 2 years of waiting, they're trying to pass Aspinall's prime. According to Moicano, the UFC is holding back both Jon Jones and Conor McGregor strategically so they can use their star power to maximize the value of their next television and streaming contract. This theory makes sense when you consider how much Jones and McGregor mean to the UFC brand. They're 2 of the most recognizable and marketable fighters in the world. Even if they're not actively competing, their names draw attention, sell tickets, and drive massive pay-per-view numbers. Moicano emphasized this point, saying the UFC isn't just waiting for the right time competitively, they're waiting for the right time financially. They need Jones's image, he said, just like they need McGregor's. These guys are the faces of the brand. When it comes to selling power, it's McGregor first, then Jon Jones. What Moicano suggests is that the UFC is in a tight balancing act. On one hand, they want these mega fights to happen. On the other, they don't want to waste them before sealing a blockbuster media deal, possibly worth billions. It's a business-first mindset, and while it makes sense for the organization's long-term revenue, it's frustrating for fans who want to see fights like Jones versus Aspenol or McGregor versus Chandler now, not a year or 2 later. At the end of the day, Moicano's comments add a new layer to the ongoing saga. Maybe it's not about ducking, injuries, or timing. Maybe, as he suggests, it's all about the dollars behind the scenes, and the fighters are just chess pieces in a much bigger game. Now onto a concerning health update that has many fans genuinely worried. It's about Khamzat Chimaev, who is currently preparing for what could be the biggest fight of his career, a title bout against Dricus du Plessis, DDP. However, troubling signs are emerging from inside his own camp. Chimaev's teammate, Ivan Shtyrkov, recently made comments that cast serious doubt on Chimaev's readiness for the fight, and possibly even his ability to make it to the cage at all. When asked about Chimaev's condition and the upcoming fight, Shtyrkov didn't sound confident. In fact, he openly questioned whether Chimaev would be physically able to compete, sparking a wave of speculation across Russian MMA circles. He didn't just express concern about the outcome. He hinted that Chimaev might not even make it to fight night in healthy condition, or might be forced to withdraw entirely. These remarks have intensified concern, especially considering Chimaev's recent history. Just days earlier, Arman Tsarukyan also pointed out some troubling signs, though his tone was more technical than alarming. According to Tsarukyan, Chimaev's tendency to slow down in later rounds has less to do with cardio and more to do with poor preparation, particularly harsh weight cuts that leave him depleted before the fight even begins. begins. Tsarukyan's comments alone were enough to spark conversation, but Shtyrkov's were far more ominous. Fans still remember when Chimaev was forced to pull out of his fight against Robert Whittaker, reportedly due to being poisoned during training camp, a bizarre and frightening episode that raised serious concerns about his health and environment. And now, as Chimaev finally stands on the doorstep of a title shot, uncertainty is once again creeping in. Nothing is official yet, but when a fighter's own team begins to question his condition, it's fair to assume there's a legitimate problem. In fact, one insider noted, "Honestly, I don't think Chimaev will handle DDP like he did Usman or Whittaker. Even with Kamaru, his physicality made a difference." But DDP, that's a whole different level, he continued. DDP is strong, durable, great cardio, and extremely hard to control. Add to that how Chimaev's looked in training lately, and yeah, there are real questions about how prepared he actually is. Whether he makes it to the octagon remains to be seen, but the UFC isn't taking chances. Nassourdine Imavov has been officially confirmed as the backup, ready to step in if Chimaev pulls out, a move that only adds to the sense that something might already be going wrong behind the scenes.